understand that Roadside is part of an overall plan for you to make, what, 2 features every year?
You know, it just sort of happened that way, you know. We shot our first film, Madison County, end of 2010, so like September-ish we finished. Within 4 months we had our funding for Roadside, so beginning 2011 we were on set filming that. And then, you know, it just sort of happened where they were so quickly, you know, piggybacked off each other. My personal thought, you know, with Eric, my writing producing partner, or not my writing partner, but he was a writer and director, was I wanted us to be able to sort of keep the fire going. Like, we had good things going with Madison County, and I wanted to be able to, you know, I really believed that we could get our next feature off of the first one, you know, and thankfully that happened because we had investors who wanted to put in more money for Madison, but it got to a point where it just wasn't really worth us taking in more money. You know, it just financially didn't make sense. So we just kind of tabled their interest over into Roadside, you know, and pitched that, and then thankfully they went for that. So we moved on that, and you know, that was the goal, to keep on going and then find something after. Now with Roadside, it was a little bit more of a trickier situation to find the next project because and what I mean is to continue that fire that I speak of, because we had just filmed Roadside and we were still in post on Madison County and then selling it and doing all those things while we were in post with Roadside. So now we had 2 films. It wasn't like one was done and we could move on to the next. So I personally was like, I don't want to take on a whole new feature till we have 2 already on the you know, on the burners here. Like, I want to get one done, you know, sold, and then we'll move on to the next one. And then what happened was, you know, we sold Madison County, and then Roadside we were working on, and then Eric got another film with another group of producers and started working on that. And then I booked a film in Columbia that I was starring in. I wasn't producing, I was just in it as an actor. And you know, we get work, and that's how it is, right? You know, so we constantly, you know, are looking at stuff. Eric and I are talking about developing not only the second, you know, the sequel to Madison County, but a new film together. And we both have friends who we're looking at, you know, sort of partnering up with to develop content and stuff. So, you know, it's an ongoing process, but thankfully it got to a point where we were sort of forced by our films to take a step back, because we needed to make sure we gave the time to them that was needed. I mean, a lot of people don't do that. I feel like they have tons of films and they just keep, you know, adding them onto the slate, and it's just like, well, finish one thing, you know what I mean? Or at least, you know, it's great to have 11 projects in pre-production, but like, what does it matter if one of them doesn't go, you know? And that was me. It's like, because I'm an actor full-time, like that's what I do, you know, and thankfully, since I've been out in LA, I'd say like 95% of my time out here in 6 years. Yesterday was 6 years, in fact. It's all been acting work, and not even extra work, just acting, you know, other you know, like more on camera work. But so I've been lucky in that regard, you know what I mean? And that's what I do full time. So it was like, producing is also a full-time job plus 2, you know. So I'm very selective with what I take on. So there's another film that I'm in development for, helping with the development team of that, and that one's called For Blood or Justice. And then, you know, like I said, the projects with Eric and I that we're sort of brainstorming, and then my own stuff. Like, I have stuff with a couple of other people, and just scripts of my own that I'm working on as well. So, you know, that was the eventual plan, to get something going once, you know, follow up with something each time. But, you know, you sort of have to be able to sort of roll with the punches, right? And I realized, well, that's not setting me up for putting out the best product, you know, in the best way that I know. So, you know, it was sort of one of those things where I was like, okay, I don't need to be doing something every, you know, 2 times a year or whatever it is. If it works out that way, fine, and it happens where I'm involved with those, you know, with those numbers, then fine. But, you know, I wasn't going to kill myself over the idea of thinking I need to have 2 films every year that I'm producing, because, you know, I'm thankfully busy in you know, my full-time job, which is, you know, my acting work. So it's just how it worked out.